It was a warm afternoon in downtown Los Angeles, the kind of day where people drifted through cafes, music played softly from open doors, and the city felt unusually calm. Steven Seagal, dressed in a simple black jacket and tinted glasses, sat alone on a wooden bench outside a small bookstore cafe. In his hands was an old leather-bound book, something about philosophy and discipline, the kind he often reread to keep his mind sharp. To anyone passing by, he looked like just another quiet man enjoying a peaceful moment. No hint of fame. No hint of authority. No hint of the years he'd spent in federal service. Just a man reading a book. But peace never lasts long when the wrong pair of eyes is watching. Across the street, Officer Ryan Collins, a rookie cop barely 6 months into the job, leaned against his patrol car, scanning the area with restless energy. He was the type who believed every shadow hid a suspect, every calm person was acting suspicious, and every quiet corner held trouble. His gaze locked onto Steven. A man sitting completely still, wearing dark shades, not reacting to anything around him. Suspicious, he thought. Ryan straightened, narrowing his eyes. What's he hiding? He muttered under his breath. He didn't know Steven Seagal. He only saw a guy who didn't look cooperative. A guy who looked like he didn't want to be seen. A guy who needed to be questioned. Without hesitation, the rookie officer marched across the street, his boots hitting the pavement with sharp, impatient steps. People turned their heads, sensing tension even before anything happened. Steven didn't look up. He simply turned a page. That irritated the rookie instantly. "Hey!" Officer Collins barked, stopping right in front of him. "You! What are you doing here?" Steven didn't flinch. Didn't lower the book. Didn't react at all, at least not yet. The officer stepped closer, voice rising. "I'm talking to you. Show me some ID. Now." A couple near the cafe paused mid-conversation. A barista leaning by the door squinted in confusion. A young man at another table pulled out his phone, sensing a confrontation brewing. Still, Steven didn't move. He just lifted his eyes from the page, calm, steady, unbothered. In that moment, just that look would change everything. But when Steven finally spoke, the rookie officer regretted approaching him. Officer Ryan Collins wasn't used to being ignored. Especially not by someone who looked so calm. Most people got nervous when he approached them. They shuffled, talked fast, sometimes even trembled. But this man, this tall, broad-shouldered figure quietly reading a book, didn't move an inch. And that only made the rookie cop more aggressive. "I said show me some ID." Collins barked louder, planting his boot directly in front of Steven's foot like he was blocking an escape route. Steven closed his book gently, sliding a finger between the pages to hold his place. He looked up, and behind the tinted glasses, his expression remained unreadable, calm but with something powerful simmering beneath. "Officer," Steven said in a low, controlled voice, "is there a problem?" The rookie scoffed. "Yeah, there's a problem. Sitting here like a statue, not responding when a police officer speaks to you, that's suspicious behavior." Steven raised an eyebrow. "Reading a book is suspicious?" "It is when you ignore law enforcement," Collins shot back. A couple of people nearby exchanged confused whispers. A teenager pulled out his phone, already recording. Two older men at a nearby table straightened, sensing the tension rising. Steven Seagal didn't like confrontations, not the pointless kind, anyway. He believed in discipline, control, and only fighting when there was no other choice. He'd spent a lifetime learning to de-escalate situations, not spark them. But Collins wasn't looking for calm. He was looking for dominance. He puffed out his chest, hand resting just a little too close to his holster. "Stand up. Slowly. And keep your hands where I can see them." Steven stayed seated. "I haven't done anything wrong," he replied quietly. "And you have no lawful reason to detain me." That sentence, calm, logical, completely reasonable, made the rookie even angrier. "You don't get to lecture me," Collins snapped. "I ask the questions. Now stand up." People around them were frozen, afraid the situation might explode at any second. Stephen sighed softly and finally stood. But the way he stood, smooth, silent, controlled, made even the bystanders notice something different about him. There was a presence in the way he moved. A confidence. A power that didn't need to be shown or spoken. But the rookie cop didn't see it. Or didn't understand it. He leaned forward, inches from Stephen's face. "Now give me your ID." Stephen looked straight at him. "Before I do, tell me the reasonable suspicion for this stop." Reasonable suspicion. Legal language. The rookie didn't like that one bit. "That's it," he shouted, stepping back. "Hands where I can see them. Don't make me repeat myself." Stephen lifted his hands slowly, calmly. Not nervous. Not scared. Just controlled. The crowd murmured in disbelief. This cop was escalating something that didn't need to be escalated at all. A woman near the door whispered to her friend, "Why is he yelling? The man's literally just reading." Her friend whispered back, "I don't know, but this cop looks like he wants to prove something." Officer Collins circled Stephen like he expected him to run or attack. Stephen kept his voice steady. "Officer, I'm advising you to calm down. You're losing control. Don't you dare tell me how to do my job." Collins snapped, hand now gripping his holster fully. Phones rose into the air. People backed away. A barista ran inside the cafe, saying she was calling someone, maybe the manager, maybe the police station. But Stephen just stood there, breathing evenly. His stillness made the rookie even more anxious. Anxious cops make dangerous decisions. "I'm warning you," Collins yelled. "Move again and I'll—" "Officer," Stephen interrupted gently, "you are escalating without cause. Let's take a breath." The rookie didn't want to breathe. He wanted control. And he felt like he was losing it. So he stepped forward and shoved Stephen in the chest. There was a collective gasp from the crowd. Stephen didn't even stumble. The rookie froze for a second. He hadn't expected that. He shoved hard, but Stephen didn't move an inch. His voice trembled now, more from fear than authority. I said don't move." Stephen looked at him steadily. "You're making a mistake." But the rookie didn't back down. He mistook Stephen's calmness for defiance. Misread his silence as resistance. Misunderstood everything except his own ego. In that moment, Officer Ryan Collins made the decision that would change his life. He reached for his gun. The crowd erupted, some screamed, some shouted, some backed away. Several phones zoomed in, capturing every second. Stephen didn't move. He just watched. The rookie pointed the gun straight at Stephen's chest, hands shaking. "Down. Now!" Collins screamed, voice cracking. "Get down now!" And for the first time, the air around Stephen shifted. Not fear. Not panic. Something else. A quiet power settling into place. A presence the rookie didn't understand, but he was about to. Have you ever seen someone abused by authority? Comment below. And tell me which country and city you're watching from. The moment Officer Collins pointed the gun, the entire street fell silent. The cheerful hum of the cafe vanished. The traffic noise felt distant. All that existed now was a trembling rookie cop. And Steven Seagal standing perfectly still. People froze mid-step. A mother pulled her daughter behind her. A cyclist stopped, one foot on the pavement, eyes wide. Phones lifted higher, capturing every angle. Stephen didn't blink. His breathing stayed calm, controlled, like a man who'd been in far worse situations than this. He slowly raised his hands a little higher, making sure they were fully visible. "Officer," he said quietly, "put the weapon down." "Shut up!" Collins screamed. Sweat dripped down his forehead. His voice cracked again. "Gee, get on the ground. Now." But even the way Stephen stood seemed unshakable. There was no fear in his posture, only discipline. Years of martial arts, tactical training, and law enforcement experience gave him a confidence the rookie simply couldn't read. And that terrified Collins even more. A man from the crowd yelled, "He's not doing anything. Put the gun away." Another shouted, "Officer, calm down before you hurt someone." But the rookie wasn't listening. His ego, fear, and confusion blended into something dangerous. Stephen looked straight into his eyes. "You're losing control," he said softly. "Holster your weapon before you make a mistake you can't undo." Those words, spoken calmly, almost gently, rattled the rookie's nerves. "Why you don't tell me what to do?" Collins snapped. "I'm the officer here." "Me?" His gun hand trembled more visibly now. "Step back," he yelled at Stephen. Stephen didn't move. "I can't step back. There's a bench behind me." Collins shot a quick glance down and saw the bench. That embarrassed him even further. He thought Stephen was mocking him. "Stop playing games," the rookie yelled, voice breaking. Stephen lifted his chin slightly. "No games. Just facts. You drew your weapon on an innocent man." "Innocent? Innocent," the rookie barked. "You ignored a police command. You were acting suspicious. You..." Stephen cut him off. "I was reading a book." The simplicity of the sentence hit the rookie like a punch he never saw coming. People in the crowd murmured in disbelief. A woman shouted, "Are you kidding? He's literally reading." Collins' face turned red. He felt small, stupid, embarrassed, dangerous emotions for any armed man standing 2 feet from a calm, unshaken stranger. Desperate to regain control, Collins tightened his grip on the gun. "Last warning. Get on the ground or I swear I'll..." Stephen finally spoke with authority. "You won't." The rookie blinked. What? "You won't pull that trigger," Stephen said, eyes cold and steady. "You don't have the discipline for it." The line struck the rookie's pride like a blade. Gasps rose from the crowd. "Who do you think you are?" Collins stammered. "Some kind of tough guy?" Stephen didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because in that moment, the rookie finally noticed something he hadn't seen before. The way Stephen stood, feet grounded, shoulders relaxed, movements precise. Like a man who'd trained his entire life for moments exactly like this. The rookie's breath quickened. He wasn't just dealing with a random stranger. Something about this man felt dangerous. Dangerous in a controlled, disciplined way, not reckless, but capable. "Officer," Stephen said softly, "you're pointing a firearm at someone who isn't a threat to you. That's a violation of your training. And you're being recorded." Collins' eyes widened as he noticed dozens of phones pointed directly at him. "Put the gun down." Stephen's tone didn't rise. It didn't need to. It carried weight, the weight of someone who knew the law, knew tactics, knew danger, and wasn't afraid of any of them. For a second, Collins' arm dropped half an inch. Then he forced it back up, refusing to lose face. Don't tell me what to do," he whispered, voice breaking. Stephen sighed. "I am telling you for your own good." The rookie was visibly shaking now, his gun wavering in the air. He had no idea who he was dealing with. No idea why this man wasn't scared. No idea why his threats weren't working. And deep inside, fear began to crack through his ego. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the calm man standing before him. Fear that he'd just made a career-ending mistake. The crowd held its breath. Because everyone could feel it. This was the moment that would decide everything. If you were standing there watching this situation, would you record it or step back? Tell me in the comments. The tension was a living thing now, thick, electric, almost suffocating. Everything on that street, from the blinking traffic light to the chirping birds, felt frozen in place. The rookie cop still had his gun raised, wrists trembling, fear leaking through every breath he took. Steven Seagal didn't move an inch. His stillness only made the rookie more nervous. Stephen's calm was unnatural to him, like a man who'd stood in the middle of storms far worse than this. A man who'd seen things no rookie cop ever had. From the edge of the crowd, someone suddenly shouted, "Bro, do you even know who you're pointing that gun at?" The voice came from a young guy in a hoodie who had been recording since the beginning. His phone blinked red as it captured every second. He stepped forward slightly, though still at a safe distance. Officer Collins spun toward him for a split second, gun jerking dangerously with the motion. "Stay back," he yelled. "Everyone stay back." But the guy in the hoodie just looked confused, almost amused. "You don't know? Seriously? That's Steven Seagal, man." A ripple of recognition moved through the crowd. Several people gasped. A couple of teens whispered excitedly. A woman with sunglasses nearly dropped her iced coffee. Someone else shouted, "Wait, Steven Seagal the actor?" Another added, "No, he works with law enforcement too." The rookie blinked rapidly, confused and overwhelmed. What are you talking about?" he stuttered. "I don't care who he looks like, this man ignored a police order." But the guy in the hoodie shook his head. "Nah bro, that's not just some man. That's FBI Deputy Marshal Steven Seagal." The words hit the crowd like a shockwave. Officer Collins' entire body stiffened. Steven said nothing. He didn't confirm it. He didn't deny it. He simply continued standing there, calm, controlled, breathing evenly like he was bored of the whole situation. The rookie swallowed hard. "FFBI," he whispered, voice trembling. The crowd started murmuring, whispering, some even backing up as if the title FBI suddenly made Steven glow with some kind of federal aura. The woman with sunglasses spoke next. She sounded terrified and impatient at the same time. "Officer, if he's FBI, you're pointing your gun at a federal agent." "That's a felony," someone else chimed in. "You can't point a weapon at an FBI marshal unless there's an active threat," yelled a man near the coffee shop. The rookie's face turned ghost white. His hands, already shaking, now trembled so violently the gun made small circles in the air. I didn't know," Collins managed to whisper, his voice crackling with panic as the realization hit him. He looked like a student who had just realized he'd insulted the principal. But Steven finally spoke, slow, steady, deep. "You never asked." The rookie's eyes widened even more. Every ounce of confidence he had earlier evaporated. His badge suddenly felt heavy on his chest. The gun in his hand felt like it was burning. He lowered it, just a little. I thought you were dangerous," Collins muttered, desperate to justify himself. Steven lifted an eyebrow. "You thought a man reading a book in a cafe was a threat?" The rookie's mouth opened but no words came out. The guy in the hoodie snorted. "He thought you were hiding ninja weapons inside the book or something." The crowd laughed nervously. Steven didn't. Collins squeezed his eyes shut, sweating even more now. "Sir? I didn't know you were federal." Steven finished for him. "No. You didn't. Because you were reacting, not thinking." Collins felt the words like slaps. Steven continued, voice firm but calm. "You pointed a gun at a man without assessing the situation. Without identifying the threat. Without verifying anything." The rookie's knees nearly buckled. I am sorry," he whispered. But apologies weren't enough. Not when the situation could still escalate. Not when the crowd was recording everything. Someone yelled, "Put the gun down before you get fired." Another voice added, "Or sued." The rookie's breathing quickened. His eyes darted around, terrified, desperate, surrounded by a circle of witnesses who had turned his mistake into a spectacle. Steven took one slow step forward. The crowd gasped. Collins flinched, arms jerking upward again, gun lifting reflexively. "Stop," he shouted. Steven froze. But his voice remained soft, almost disappointed. "You're still pointing it at my head," he said. Collins slowly looked down at his own arms. He hadn't even realized the gun popped back up. I am trying, he whispered, hands trembling so violently the weapon shook uncontrollably. Stephen tilted his head. You're scared, he said. It wasn't a taunt. It was a diagnosis. A truth. Collins didn't deny it this time. His voice cracked. I've never had a situation like this. I didn't expect, I didn't think, I just... You panicked, Stephen said plainly. The rookie nodded, tears forming in the corners of his eyes. And if you don't lower that weapon, Stephen added, voice dropping a tone, someone here, maybe you, will get hurt. The rookie inhaled sharply. His breathing echoed over the entire silent street. Then, slowly, very slowly, he began lowering the gun. The crowd held its breath. Every second felt like an hour. Someone whispered, please don't drop it, please don't drop it. Collins' hands shook uncontrollably as the gun descended inch by inch. He was finally bringing it down. Finally. Almost, and then, Collins' gun was halfway lowered, trembling like a leaf in a storm. The crowd stayed silent, so silent you could hear the soft hum of traffic blocks away. Everyone watched the rookie officer struggle for control of his own fear. Steven Seagal did not move. He stood like a statue, calm, grounded, unshaken, his eyes fixed on the trembling rookie in front of him. His stillness only made the young officer more nervous, and yet, it was that same stillness that kept the situation from spiraling out of control. Collins gulped hard and continued lowering the weapon. But his arms were so tense, so overwhelmed with panic, that the gun slipped just a little. He gasped. The crowd screamed. Several people ducked instinctively. Someone yelled, he's gonna misfire. Steven's hand moved. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just certain. He reached out and rested 2 fingers lightly on the rookie's wrist, not grabbing, not twisting, not using force. Just stabilizing. The entire moment froze. Collins stared at Steven's hand as if he'd just been touched by a ghost. Steven's voice came out low and steady. Breathe. The rookie obeyed instantly, drawing in air shakily, like he'd forgotten how until that moment. Now lower it, Steven said. This time, Collins did. Slowly. Safely. All the way down. When the weapon finally pointed toward the ground, the entire crowd exhaled at once, like they'd all been holding their breath for minutes. The young officer collapsed onto one knee, gasping, sweat dripping off his forehead. He set the gun on the pavement with shaking fingers. He looked like someone who had just aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Steven stepped back, giving him space. The guy in the hoodie whispered to his friend, bro. Steven didn't even disarm him. He disarmed his fear. A woman added, that was, actually amazing. But the rookie couldn't hear any of the compliments or commentary. His ears rang. His vision blurred. Shame twisted his chest as he stared at his own trembling hands. I'm sorry, Collins whispered to Steven. His voice cracked, broken, small, almost childlike. Steven looked down at him, not with anger, not with arrogance, not with superiority, but with a mixture of discipline and disappointment. Stand up, Steven said calmly. The rookie hesitated. Come on, Steven added. You're still an officer. Collins forced himself to stand, knees wobbling, uniform damp from sweat. He looked anywhere but at the crowd recording him. I messed up, he muttered. You panicked, Steven corrected. There's a difference. Collins swallowed hard. I shouldn't have pulled my gun. I shouldn't have pointed it at you. I shouldn't have. Ignored your training, Steven finished. The rookie looked stunned. How do you? Steven raised an eyebrow. You think I don't know the training you're supposed to have? The crowd murmured with excitement. Someone whispered, he's teaching him like he's his own cadet. Collins' face flushed with embarrassment. I just saw a suspicious person who wasn't responding, he said, voice cracking under the pressure of explaining himself. Stephen leaned slightly closer, not threatening, but firm. You saw a man reading a book, Stephen corrected. And you reacted based on fear, not facts. The rookie shut his eyes. His voice was barely audible. You're right. I admit it. I handled it wrong. And if I was an ordinary citizen? Stephen asked. If I was an FBI? If I didn't have training? If I panicked when you panicked? The rookie looked horrified. He knew the answer. Someone in the crowd whispered, he could have killed somebody. Stephen straightened his posture. This job isn't about authority, he said. It's about responsibility. The rookie nodded quickly, shame burning through him. Stephen continued. When your hand touches your weapon, the entire world changes. For you. For them. For everyone watching. Colin's eyes widened. Even through embarrassment, he understood. Stephen didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He didn't brag. He simply told the truth. A truth the rookie needed. A truth the crowd needed to hear. A truth that hit like a punch to the chest. Someone whispered, that's why he's Steven Seagal. Collins wiped his forehead with his sleeve. I'm sorry, sir. I truly am. Stephen nodded once. Good, he said. Now learn from it. The rookie stood taller, still trembling, still embarrassed, but deeply aware that he had just been corrected by someone who wasn't merely a federal agent, but a master of control. And just when things seemed to calm down, just when the rookie started to regain his breath, a police siren approached from down the block. The crowd turned. The rookie stiffened. Stephen's expression didn't change. Backup had arrived. But what would happen next? Would flip the entire situation even further. The siren grew louder, echoing between the buildings like a warning bell. People in the crowd shifted nervously. Phones were already recording from every angle, ready to capture whatever happened next. Officer Collins stood frozen, face pale, uniform soaked with sweat. Steven Seagal remained calm, still as a mountain, hands relaxed, shoulders steady, eyes fixed on the approaching patrol car. The cruiser screeched to a stop. Two officers jumped out. One was a seasoned sergeant with decades of experience etched into the lines on his face. The other was a younger partner who clearly followed his lead. The sergeant took one look at the scene, the trembling rookie, the gun on the ground, the crowd recording, the tall man standing calmly at the center, and instantly sensed he'd arrived in the middle of a disaster. Collins, the sergeant barked, what the hell happened here? The rookie tried to speak, but his voice didn't work. He stuttered, swallowed, tried again. I thought he was suspicious and then. His breath hitched. Then things escalated. The sergeant glanced at the gun lying near Collins' feet. Escalated, he said sharply. You drew your weapon? Collins nodded weakly. And pointed it at him? Collins hesitated. His throat tightened. He whispered, ashamed. Yes, sir. The sergeant exhaled slowly, like a man already preparing the rookie's disciplinary paperwork. Then he turned to Stephen. And froze. His eyes widened. Recognition hit him like a truck. Mr. Seagal, the sergeant said, stunned. Steven Seagal? The crowd erupted with whispers. Told you. He finally recognized him. Bro, this is wild. Stephen nodded respectfully. Sergeant. The sergeant stepped forward quickly, nervous, apologetic, embarrassed. Sir, I am so sorry, he said. My officer didn't understand. Stephen held up a hand. Stop, he said. I don't need special treatment. Just handle the situation properly. The sergeant swallowed hard and nodded. But Collins looked confused. Wait, the rookie whispered, staring at Stephen. Are you really Steven Seagal? Like, the Steven Seagal? Stephen looked at him with eyes that held no arrogance, only truth. Yes, he said simply. The rookie's heart dropped to his knees. The sergeant turned to him sharply. Collins, do you have any idea who you just pulled a gun on? The rookie shook his head miserably. The sergeant's voice rose. He's not just an actor. He's a federal law enforcement officer with credentials higher than yours, mine, or anyone else in this department. The crowd gasped again. Phones zoomed in. Someone shouted, "Bro, this cop is finished." Another whispered, "This is gonna go viral within the hour." Collins' vision blurred. He felt sick. He'd pulled a gun on an FBI deputy marshal, not out of threat, but out of insecurity and fear. I didn't know, he whispered, voice cracking. Stephen stepped closer, his presence calm but powerful. You didn't need to know who I was, he said. You only needed to know how to control yourself. The rookie almost broke down. But I handled it wrong, Collins admitted. I embarrassed myself. I embarrassed the department. Stephen shook his head. No. You made a mistake. A serious one. But mistakes can be corrected. The sergeant watched the interaction closely, amazed at Stephen's composure. Stephen continued, speaking so the officers, and the crowd, would hear every word. You reacted based on assumptions. You treated a peaceful civilian as a threat. That could have ended tragically, for you, for me, for someone in the crowd. Collins nodded, tears forming. But you stayed, Stephen said calmly. And you learned. The rookie swallowed hard. I did. Stephen stepped even closer. And now the question is, will you let this moment make you better, or will you let it break you? The rookie took a shaky breath. I want to be better, sir. The sergeant watched with a mixture of respect and relief. Stephen leaned back slightly, his voice carrying a weight that felt like a lesson carved in stone. Then remember this, he said. Your weapon is not your authority. Your discipline is. The crowd fell silent. The words hung in the air like a message meant for everyone, officers, civilians, viewers online, anyone who'd ever seen authority misused. For the first time since the confrontation began, Collins finally stood still, not from fear, but from understanding. The sergeant cleared his throat. Mr. Segal, he said respectfully, we will file a full report on the incident. Disciplinary action will be taken. Stephen nodded. Good. But don't destroy the kid, he said. Teach him. The rookie looked up, shocked. You're not pressing charges, he whispered. Stephen shook his head. I'm not here to ruin careers, he said. I'm here to make sure people learn responsibility. Tears slipped from Collins' eyes. Thank you, sir, he whispered. The sergeant placed a hand on Collins' shoulder, guiding him gently toward the patrol car. The situation was finally under control. The crowd slowly lowered their phones. And yet, everyone knew. This moment wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Because within minutes, the video would hit the internet. And the world would have something to say. Within minutes of the officers stepping away, the crowd dispersed, but their phones did not. Fingers tapped screens. Videos were shared, reposted, captioned, stitched, analyzed. By the time Steven Seagal walked calmly back to the bench where he had been reading, the first clip had already hit the internet. 15 minutes later, it had 20,000 views. 30 minutes later, it crossed 200,000. By the time Stephen reached home, the video had spread across every platform. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, news outlets. It was everywhere. The title alone drew millions. Rookie cop points gun at Steven Seagal. Then learns he's FBI. People clicked out of shock. They stayed for the lesson. And they shared it because of the ending. The video showed everything. The rookie yelling. The gun shaking. The crowd panicking. Steven standing calm while everyone else lost control. And then, Steven steadying the rookie's trembling hand with nothing more than 2 fingers. Teaching him to breathe. Talking to him, not like an enemy, but like a man who needed guidance. The internet exploded. Comments poured in faster than they could be counted. Stephen didn't disarm the cop, he disarmed the fear. This is what real authority looks like. This rookie should thank Stephen for saving his career. He didn't humiliate him. He taught him. The clip of Stephen saying your weapon is not your authority. Your discipline is, went viral on its own. Within hours, it became a trending sound. People used it in gym videos, motivational edits, training montages, even school presentations about leadership. Some called Stephen a hero. Some called him a national treasure. Others simply said, "This is how law enforcement should be." Meanwhile, at the precinct, Officer Collins sat in a small conference room, head bowed. He expected to be fired. He expected humiliation. He expected the worst. But instead, the sergeant walked in, placed a folder on the table, and said, "You're lucky." Collins swallowed hard. "I don't feel lucky, sir." The sergeant sat down, leaning forward. "You should. Steven Seagal isn't pressing charges. He asked us not to suspend you. He only requested one thing." The rookie's heart pounded. What did he ask? The sergeant opened the folder. "For you to undergo intensive retraining, direct mentorship, and additional psychological evaluation, not as punishment, but for growth." Collins blinked, stunned. "He wants to help you," the sergeant said. "He believes you can be better." The rookie covered his face with both hands, overwhelmed. "That man, after everything I did, he still wants me to learn?" "He sees potential," the sergeant replied. "Don't make him regret it." Across the city, Stephen sat in his quiet home, reading the same book he'd been enjoying earlier that day. His phone buzzed nonstop with messages, calls, interview requests. He ignored them all. For him, the moment wasn't about going viral. It wasn't about fame. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about reminding people, officers and civilians alike, why calm, discipline, and respect matter. He closed the book gently. "If one kid learns from this," he murmured, "then it was worth it." By nightfall, the video reached 12 million views. By the next morning, it had 30 million. People across the world commented, "Respect. This is how real men handle conflict. If you believe no one should be judged without reason, type respect. I wish more officers were trained like this." And just like that, Steven Seagal's quiet afternoon reading turned into a global message. A reminder. A lesson. A warning. And most importantly, a moment of humility the world desperately needed to see.